Dana, thanks for coming in, sir.
Yeah,
On
man.
this
Excited to
Wednesday
be here.
afternoon.
Yeah, excited, man. I saw you guys are doing some good things, and I appreciate you offering to
I've
bring me on.
I've seen you doing some good things yesterday on election day
Oh
out
yeah,
on the street.
I'm like, you know what? Might as well just live life and have some fun in the process.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the homeless people were not upset with me.
I was going to say that might be the first thing. Like
Yeah,
from a distance, if I was driving up to see you, like he might just be like getting some money for
I
like
know,
some
right?
drinks and smoke a friend or
I'm
something.
sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, I could probably pull in some cash actually on the sidewalk. I'm
Yeah.
like, here's how you do it, guys. You know, dress up in a costume.
Just a little bit of investment to get some
Yeah,
to pay
yeah.
out.
Yeah, I posted that picture as my profile pic, and it was like everybody was commenting and private messaging me and be like, "You're a nut," and I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know, what do you expect? I'm like, would you expect anything less? I guess.
And you didn't waste time with it. You did a Step Brothers sketch as well.
Yeah, we did. I mean, like when we came up with the idea to do the wine event, Kenny, who's on the board, Kenny Sexton. Him and Gigi came up with the idea of calling it a mixer, and I absolutely fell in love with it because I was like, you know, I don't want to call this thing a festival.
Right,
And
yeah.
you know, when they did that, I instantly went to it's the bleeping Catalina wine mixer.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
like, you know, we're gonna have, you know, a little bit of a struggle kicking this thing off because of what happened in the past. So it's kind of like, well, okay, how can we make this kind of humorous?
When was that last one? I remember I thought this was the first ever one, but somebody told me like they know they used to.
There was two of them.
Two of 'em?
Yeah, there was
Okay.
the Wine and Jazz Fest. Now I went to that one, and we had a blast at that one. That one was put on from what I saw as a customer, very professional. It
Yeah.
was done very well, and it was a big hit. I'm not sure the reason why they stopped doing it. I never kind of asked. It was kind of like one of those things. If it's not my business, I'm not going to say.
Right.
And then the other gentleman then put on a wine festival. And then of course you know what happened with that. And
I
you know,
don't. I haven't heard.
well, I stay out of it. I mean, just
Okay, it just was. It wasn't the best.
it was
Wasn't that
no. There was a
situation,
lot of negativity that came from it.
okay.
It was bad, and I just you know my response to it all. Like we knew we were going to get a little bit of backlash because of that, even though we weren't a part of that.
Right.
So we had like kind of damage control kind of strategies in place.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, everybody just has embraced this very well.
Yeah, online.
Yeah.
A lot of traction.
I mean, and it just, you know, they gave me control of the entertainment and they gave me control of the advertising, like
Yeah.
how we do it.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, okay, I'm going to go off of Step Brothers because there's something there.
Yeah, there is.
And Kenny being a teacher or a principal at one point, and now a teacher, and he like semi-retired just recently and things, but when you look at his character, he doesn't do things like that.
Right.
So it's like, you know, to see both of us together, it's kind of throwing people off a little bit and like, wait a minute, how's this working?
Right.
Like, you know, so, but it's been going great, man.
In the Catalina Wine Mixer, that's not just a skit that they wrote for Step Brothers. That's an actual event that happens every year.
Yeah, it is. And we had to watch a lot on like copyright stuff and
Oh,
those kind
yeah.
of things. So, I mean, like we were very careful with that kind of stuff. We're not trying to copy the whole thing to a T, but you know, we want to bring out the humor part of it for Wheeling to see. And, you know, it's good advertising. Everybody knows that movie. It's an iconic movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a few people that we know that haven't seen it and then they went and watched it and then are like, okay, now we understand,
Yeah.
you know, all these memes that are popping up on your page and this and that. And I'm like, there's, you know, it's from that iconic movie.
I mean, I'm sure you've met too some people that their whole personality is based off one-liners from that movie.
Oh,
They will
yes.
hit you in conversation just back to back to back.
Oh yeah, I'm getting it all the time. When we filmed that commercial, Kenny got out of the costume and he left. We had tickets to the Nailers game that night, and it was a Wednesday night. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm in a good mood. Like I'm just gonna go ahead and just go in there like this. So I ended up on the jumbotron. You know, Corey that does the MCing for the Corey. I turned a corner and I saw him, and I wasn't trying to get publicity. And he's like, "Oh my god!" He goes, "I'm coming to find you." And I was like, "All right." I said, "It's fine." And we had a good time with it. And Corey does a wonderful job with the Nailers, and I appreciate the kickback there he gave us. And we had a lot of fun. But people were yelling like boats and hoes at me. So like just you always get some random one-liners all the time. It's awesome.
What can like some wine connoisseurs expect when they go down there to this event?
You know, the biggest thing for us was, you know, we knew it was going to be a challenge to get the wineries on board But when you buy the liquor license,
Yeah.
you get through the distributors. So we could kind of we didn't have to worry too much about the wineries. But now the wineries are contacting us, and they're like, "Hey, we want to jump on board this now."
Yeah.
So
That's good.
you know, we had an idea of giving a variety. You know, we took a lot of what was said from the previous two.
Yeah.
And it's just, okay, tweak this, tweak that. Don't do what they did here. You know, maybe find a way to do what they did here, but do it in a different fashion to make it work.
Yeah.
And you just kind of like learn from, you know, the ones in the past. And then obviously scouting, you know, for us to go scout wineries and scout wine festivals was big. But we're going to have a lot of variety of wine. It's not just going to be, oh, here's sweet wine. Right, you know, we're going to have the dry wine, the dry wines. You know, we're going to have the blush, and we're going to have a big variety of wineries, but not just that. You know, the thing with the mixer is we wanted to be able to provide beer and liquor as well. Yeah. So we are going to have a bar section.
That's nice.
And we are going to have a beer wagon section, like a beer garden. And then the thing I came up with was it's called Seltzer City. So a lot of the girls that like wine, they also like those White Claws, those Trulies, Twisted Teas. So, you know, we got Seltzer City, and, you know, it gives it a variety. And then our ticket sales are going to go up because people now are going to look at this and say, you know what, I don't like wine, I don't want to go down there. Well, honey, guess what? Now we got
Sunny D has a really good seltzer now that's in a lot of restaurants.
And the distributors are working with us really well. We got a great arrangement with them, and we're excited about it. And, you know, just the variety. We don't know how much we're going to specifically get because we're waiting for ticket sales, but you know as well as I do, everybody waits the last minute to buy stuff. So
especially
ticket sales... You know, ticket sales are going where they're going right now, but, you know, over the course of this next month, I mean, they're going to skyrocket up through.
Oh, yeah.
So. But we're also looking at how to actually cover the whole area.
Yeah.
And there's different products that we had looked at for weddings, that we had some brides that were like, hey, can, you know, you give us some shade over here with this? Like, can you do some outside kind of ceiling treatment that can kind of block the sun and the rain out if it comes? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we're toying around with some ideas right now for that. And I think once we get to the beginning of June, I think that, you know, we're going to have something in place in case it rains.
Yeah.
You know, so we should be good.
Less chance of rain then than the Waterfront Fest that happened the past couple of weeks.
You feel so bad for these guys. I mean, even that in the food truck festival this past weekend, I was down there in that.
Yeah.
We went down because we've been cutting commercials like, you know, hey, 8 Saturdays away from the wine mix, 7 Saturdays, 6 Saturdays, all that stuff. So I went down and, you know, wanted to show our support, got some lunch down there too, but it felt so bad for those vendors because, I mean, that was a torrential downpour.
It was.
I mean, there was just nothing you could do in that part. Now, on our end too, West Banco Arena is free that weekend.
Okay.
Because the Miners play their championship game the following weekend. Yeah. So that's their bye week to get prepped. So a lot of those players are going to go back home, visit family, and then they come back the following week, get ready for the championship game. So we do have the option of potentially renting out the arena, which now is going to cost us more money.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, if it becomes like a torrential downpour like that, it's like, wow, the factor that we could potentially move it into the arena. Yeah. I mean, that just saves us right there.
We did a Waterfront Wednesdays with the 2x4, the acoustic karaoke. Yeah. It started raining real bad, and they moved us into just the entrance of the arena, and there was enough space right there to get the job done.
Yeah, I talked to Tim Mattern, who's the liquor control commissioner up here in the area and stuff, and you know, Tim said we had to pretty much fill out extra paperwork and things like that, and we obviously have to get the clearance from the arena, but we kind of planted a seed. You know, we told him, hey, like, you know, told Josh to tell them, hey, you know, if it's open, you know, if you could hold it for us, that'd be great. Right. But if you get an offer to do something, I mean, obviously take it. You know, I mean, Kelly just announced Godsmack.
I saw that. And that's Godsmack and who else was with them?
It's in October. I know that. I don't know who the other band is, but I just, you know, what she's doing at the arena is huge for the Ohio Valley and also at the Capitol.
Yes.
And she's just bringing powerhouse after powerhouse in.
I know.
And I like it's not all country. I love that.
Yeah, you know? Like, it's bands that have like a huge production behind them because everybody's been telling about the Ice Nine Kills.
Oh, that was,
they had production for almost every song had a different theme.
Yeah. I will take that picture I saw from that concert that they posted. That is burned in my head is one of the most legendary pictures of this new like transformation of Wheeling.
Yeah.
That sold out crowd shot from they got up in that corner. It was amazing. And I mean, I wasn't there, but just what I heard was always good things. But yeah, Kelly's doing a great job down there at the arena. So I mean, like with them being able to help, you know, work with us potentially if, you know, it does downpour, you know, is huge on that.
That's nice. That's awesome. And you got arguably the goats of the Valley playing for you. That Saturday.
Horton Jones.
Yes.
Yeah, Horton Jones. He was actually the first one I told when everything went down. I got back from Nashville the first week of January. I left New Year's Day, went down there, we were putting a lighting rig in, came back up, and I was out with Gigi, and Kenny was out with her, and he was like, what's some of your ideas for wheeling? You know, he's like, what do you got up your sleeve? What's some things you want to do? And I was like, one of the things was, I was like, well, in 2025, I want to do my own wine event.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to do it professionally, do it right, this and that. And I said, it's going to take me, about a year and a half to build this up. And we all just kind of finished out hanging out for the night, left. Next morning, Gigi texts, hey, can we speed this up? Can we have it this year? And at that point, you're like, okay, I got a 72-hour, to me, I was like, I got a 72-hour window. If these guys are serious and they really want to do it, this is how we're going to have to put this together. This is what we're going to need to do in the next 72 hours. And I remember I talked to Roger, I think the third day. And I was like, hey, if this goes, I said, can we have you guys? And then I saw them up at Black Sheep about 3 weeks later. And they crushed it. And I mean, for what we're trying to draw,
probably to a sold out place.
Yeah.
When it's a Horton Jones night, when you see the cars.
Yeah. And Roger, the number one musician in the Ohio Valley. Yeah. No offense to everybody, but we were all in this circle together and stuff. Just the reputation he has, it's great. And so it was a no-brainer for us. And actually, I just got done working a wedding this past weekend up at Oglebay, and I was working with Eli.
Oh, were you?
And I told Eli, I was like, hey, mark it down for next year.
Nice.
Because my idea was to rotate them. Yeah. So to have Roger and Horde 1 year and then have Eli.
Those are two perfect bands for this mixer.
That's what I thought with it. And I was like, Eli, I said, just name me your price. I'll take care of it. I said, we want you mid-card next year, right before the headliner comes on. And he was like, I'll mark it down, and we don't know if we're going to have it this year, or we don't know if we're going to have it next year the same weekend, or if we might bump it up a week and have it, or we're going to wait and see how the sales go and everything like that. Goes. And the good part about, our committee is there's 4 of us on it, and the 4 of us, we have to go to vote for everything. Yeah. And I love that because we all have our ideas, we all have our visions and things. And
you also know that there's more people other than you that are motivated.
Absolutely. Oh, and Kenny, we feed off each other a lot on ideas. Gigi, she's a workhorse, powerhouse in the office. Monica, who's probably the most unknown one of the 4 of us, because the other 3 of us are obviously out in public a lot more. Monica, she's our treasurer, and I would trust her with my life savings right now. I'm like, if something happens, man, I can give you my life insurance policy. She's just such a sweet girl, and she's honest, and she's hardworking, and she's the perfect fit to handle that. Yeah. And so it works out really well. But yeah, Eli, definitely next year, we definitely want to lock him in for next year. Yeah. So
that is awesome. I just want to ask you, do you have any plans for Friday Night Lights? Have you picked out a place you're going to do your party yet, or
we don't know where we're going to do the schedule release show yet. We probably won't know until I would say beginning of June. Okay. We have our cash dash right now going. It is $20 a ticket, and proceeds are going towards 13 scholarships for the OVAC, and then also for the production cost of the season. And then $5 of each ticket is going to an individual school scholarship. So, if you bought a $20 ticket, where'd you go to high school at?
Ferry.
So you could donate that $5 to the Martins Ferry football team, the cheerleaders, or the band.
Oh, that's cool.
And then at the end of the season, I'm going to present that school with a check.
Gotcha.
And they're going to have their individual checks as well. So on top of those 13 scholarships, we're going to have those individuals as well, which is huge for the Valley. And the OVAC, they're going to allow me to present the 13 major ones at the Night of Champions coming up next year in May of 2025. Okay. So we got everything going on right now for that, because that drawing is going to be July 14th up at Quaker Steak. Okay. So we have 3 bands booked that day. We're going to have a cornhole tournament. And then the following Saturday is the OVAC All-Star Game. Yeah. So that's when we're going to announce the dollar amount for the 13 scholarships. Okay. Which is going to be pretty sweet. And then we have something else we're holding close to the chest that we're going to announce too that day. So everything right now is getting ready for that. But we did look at some schools. And I can say this out loud. It's not a big deal. There's 4 schools we're targeting that could potentially host the schedule release show. One's Barnesville. Okay. One is Cameron. One is Belair, because now they're getting lights.
They're getting lights, yes.
And the other one is Indian Creek. So, I would be shocked if we're not at one of those 4 places. Yeah. It's all about, what administration says.
Yeah.
Yes, the fastest, pretty much.
Yeah.
So we have to draw up a letter and all that stuff. And what we try to do is we wait till, right now they're doing graduation. So we wait until all that's over with. Give them that month off, because they want to unwind and enjoy summer for that 1 month.
Right.
And then once we get past 4th of July, it's like, okay, now we can start having conversations.
Yeah.
And do it that way.
They're focused on football then. And
yeah.
That was a fun show we did at Union Local.
Dude, that was a blast, man.
We had, I was playing guitar, had Greg Molnar on bass, Chad Smith on drums. We had the trucks pulled side by side. We had a production that night.
It was one of the best ones we had done. And I love that every year we've rotated musicians in the Valley.
Yeah,
like
that is cool.
It's not been the same ones every single year, and the Union Local one always stands out. And I still got kids coming up to me and they're like, "Dude, like that was an awesome. Yeah, it was 2019.
Yeah, it was 19.
Yeah, and Doug was there. Doug Boston was there helping us. He gave us the trailer.
Yeah,
and we had Gage was so young back then.
Yeah, he was.
Gage was crazy young. Caroline Yates came in and sang with me.
Man, I remember I was living at Hanover and we did like a little practice down in the basement when I had to. Yeah, that was a fun
Caroline. Yeah, so there's a big build up to that show because of the performances, and everybody's like, we can't wait to see what you're gonna pull off this year. And you try to pick songs that relate to that specific community. And then also whatever your message you're trying to get across, to the Valley and things. And it's. The kickoff show has always been very special. We're celebrating 10 years this year, and it's just like,
oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. When you look back, you're like, man, I remember the first game.
Yeah.
I remember, trying to convince 12 schools to say, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to let you come in and DJ hip hop and rock and trap music. And we're going to let you do that. And then to see where it's gone now, it's like, okay, like it's been pretty cool, man.
One of the questions I want to ask you: do you only do the Cupid's Bridal Show once a year? Is that your only bridal show?
Yeah, we do the bridal show once a year. We were doing 2 up until COVID. We did the Cupid's one in February, and that was always usually at the casino. A couple years we took it to Wheeling University, which was Jesuit at the time, and then we went back to the Downs.
Was I upstairs at the Capitol with you once?
Yeah, we were at the Capitol one year. Yeah, we were at the Capitol one year because they were shifting managers, I believe, at the time at the casino.
Okay,
and we couldn't lock in a contract. And then we had the one in September, which I didn't know you back then, but we called it the Ohio Valley Bridal Expo.
Okay,
and that one was actually at West Bank Arena.
Oh, really?
The majority of the time. A couple times it was at River City. That was, we did 2, and then COVID hit. And then I stopped doing them. And then we had brides that were like, hey, can you bring it back? And I'm like, well, I'm just bringing 1. We're doing 1 and that's it. Because football at that point had blown up. Like when we got into COVID and we were live streaming those games.
Yeah.
I mean, that just took us to another level in that part.
Right, yeah.
And it was kind of like, all right, like between weddings in the fall, which is a huge time to get married.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
You got married in the fall. And, it's just, it's a lot of work. And if you're going to do it, you want to make sure it's done right. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to do 1 show, do it in February. And do it that way. Smart, yeah. So, yeah.
The reason I brought it up is Kaylee said you had made those contestants work for those giveaway.
We get the $10,000 giveaway.
Yeah, she said because I think the one I did in 19, it was just a drawing, but she said, oh no, they had to, they worked for it.
There's like 3 different phases to get there, and it's a lot of fun. I actually just found we were cleaning the studio this morning, and I was going through bridal show stuff because our poor photographer Sarah, she wants to wring my neck most of the time. I mean, I use the studio as like a storage unit, and here she's trying to do all the pictures, and we keep adding more and more material, and next thing you know, it's just, I mean, it looks like it's clutter, And I just found the pennies from the cake in February. Oh, yeah. They were in a box, and I was like, oh, I need to get these things clean. So they're actually in the bed of my truck right now. But yeah, bridal show is always a lot of fun and stuff, and we have a good time with it. And the casino, I mean, the staff they got there now, they're really doing great things, and they're wanting to expand more on the entertainment level.
That's nice.
And we had talked, and I was like, hey, anytime there's an opening, I'd love to be a part of it. We got a great relationship with them, and I think that's what it's all about, really, in the industry. I mean, like, look at everything we've talked about, so far. Everything takes a collective team to make it work.
Right.
And from a football standpoint, you got to have the school administrations on board. You got to obviously have the coaches are easy to get over. Coaches always love this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you need the communities to buy into it. With bridal shows, you need the vendors, you need the downs. Wine mixer, you need the small businesses, you need the big businesses too, obviously, to buy into it. So, just looking at everything you touch, you're like, okay, it's a team effort. Kind of like a band. You know?
And we talked about this before we started filming. To go backstage to those minors games and you look around, everybody from the world of entertainment in the valleys, they are working. You are going around emceeing, but really you're organizing a lot more than just
there's a lot more behind. Yeah,
and you see Birch up there with the mine line.
They're doing a fantastic job. That's such a great touch. To it. It adds so much of a better element to the game.
It really does. And I think the first 2 home games we did, they announced they said if you look towards this section, you'll see the mine line. They were gone. They were out on the street playing for doing a performance for everybody and came back in. But everybody's digging them.
Yeah, we're getting a lot more efficient now. Jamie that works with me, she's like the coordinator for the day, and it's just a lot of behind the scenes stuff, just kind of tweaking things and stuff. And with them coming back next year, where we're going to be at, because we talked about putting an offer on the table and things. So for us to have complete control next year potentially of all the behind the scenes stuff, it's going to go so much smoother.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean? Like,
I think too, like just the 3 home games that Coach Rez has been a part of, he probably looked around and thought, okay, these guys know what they're doing. Yeah. Like that just had ease of mind. But I'll tell you what, when those cold sparks weren't working, when you came over and checked him out this past game, I thought to myself, all right, we're going to draw straws. He's going to go over to Coach Rez.
It ain't going to be me.
It's not going to be me either.
Well, he's going to come back at me. He's going to be like, I thought that was your guy. I thought he knew what he was doing. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, because there is somebody that's getting their butt chewed out right now. It's not any of us.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there like, that's not part of my team. I was like, nope. You guys got to fix that yourselves.
Yeah, I was looking at Billy Baker. I'm like, he might be the one I had to send over. Shout out Billy.
Brian's like, I just walked in. I don't know what's going on. yeah. It's but yeah. No, those games are a lot of fun. I remember I had to do a radio spot on the Monday after the first game. And Tim also, besides the liquor license, he works at over iHeartRadio. Yeah. So he does the morning show, and we're at break, and he's like, you got to get quicker on those timeouts. And I'm just laughing because I'm like, I know, like, because everybody was saying stuff to me, and I'm like, it wasn't my fault, but I'll take the fall. I'm like, I'd rather you be mad at me in the public than be mad at anybody else behind the scenes. So I'll take the fall. And he's like, I'll stick it up for you. He goes, but this guy behind me was like, shut the bleep down. I was like, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I was like, my son's in the stands. I was like, it's okay,
Yeah.
I was like, Daddy's not going to please everybody all the time, buddy. But, I mean, like, we knew that. I mean, and one of my buddies was at the game, and he's like, dude, I could see your face. He goes, your facial expression gives away everything. And he's like, I could just tell you were hot. Because you just looked like you just wanted to start cussing and, like, And I said, I couldn't get anybody to get the footballs. I said, we're kicking those footballs, and it's taking longer because there's no interns around. There's nobody around. It was just so frustrating. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we tweaked things, and I mean,
every game gets tweaked.
Honestly, Mother's Day was so smooth.
It was, yeah.
And we weren't there the week of Star Wars because I was already on a contract for a wedding.
Okay.
Or for a prom. And, they got me for the games that I'm not under contract already under. So I'm only there for like half the season.
Yeah.
So, but I just felt like, man, like Sunday, we did Mother's Day. It was very smooth. And I could see Jamie was getting into her own. Like she knew exactly what she was doing at that point. Yeah. You guys were obviously very sharp, very quick on everything. And those Colt Sparks, we all just had to learn because they're not ours. They're not ours, they're the Wheeling Miners.
Right.
And I think it was Brian, the one that figured out, he just had to kind of
just pair them up
again. So every time they were turned on, you had to pair them again. Yeah. Now mine, I don't have to do that. Mine are already paired automatically. Okay. So I don't have to keep resetting mine all the time. But with theirs, they got a different brand. So it's just.
And this past game was the first one we daisy chained.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, we didn't do one remote for all four. We daisy changed. The one was right by me, so I had to be close enough to hit that one, and they all went off.
Yeah, I know Brian brought more smoke too, which is pretty cool.
Lights, yeah. Got the inside of the tunnel.
Yeah,
it's nuts watching these games because just being so used to NFL, this is my first like arena experience. Just seeing like the the man always in motion.
Yeah.
Coach coaching from the field.
From the field, yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah. They're letting me play in the game on the first.
All right.
Yeah, I just started my diet today.
Right.
Yeah, because they were like, well, we can use it as a marking skid a little bit, maybe, this and that or whatever. And
what position are you going for?
So
going for, what do you have?
We have Coach and me are not on the same page, so I have to go up and practice at some point next week to be like, hey, listen, I still got it, But what we want, he's like, I'll get you in for one play. And he's like, you can MC, and then you could go away, change into your, and he almost said costume. I'm like, man, I was like, I'm going to have to hit somebody. I'm like, and he's like, I'll get you in for one play on special teams. And I'm like, look, I want 3. I was like, I want 1 special teams, 1 offense, 1 defense. And I was like, the offense and defense put me in when you guys secured the game.
Yeah.
I was like, special teams, whenever, whatever. And he's like, you're going to sign this waiver, he goes, because if you get hurt.
Sign a waiver and they'll make you a returner.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, I'll sign it, so. Yeah, I started my diet today. It's been fun. But yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, it's all for good fun.
Yeah.
I'm not mocking the players at all. I'm not saying it's not tough.
Right.
100% it is. I mean, I could literally get my my head knocked off.
Yeah. Well, the people in the arena world know that it's a lot of entertainment, and what you would do for them by doing that is just getting their name out there.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably gonna be people there that are gonna be like, oh my god, I hope he breaks his leg.
But they'll be watching for that.
Yeah, they'll be watching. Everybody's gonna have the cameras out. Okay, here we go. He's gonna get hurt. It's like, and I look. My son will be in the crowd, and I'm like, okay, don't want to look bad in front of your son. So I'm like, well, take out all my aggression over the past 4 years from COVID, inflation. I'm like, so I'm ready to go. I'm like, all right. But yeah, no, those guys are awesome to work with.
Yeah.
We've got to hang out with those guys a lot on a personal level, and there's a lot of potential.
There is.
If everybody buys in, there's a lot of potential with that.
Yeah.
So
one last question I wanted to ask you before we let you go. It'd be a really cool clippable thing is you've been going with your son to all the MLB stadiums, and Scott's been doing the same thing with his wife. Where have you visited so far, and what's been like the number one you'd say an experience, if it's a stadium or the way the fans are?
We started it when he was 1. I was anti taking him to a game until he was going to probably be like 8.
Yeah.
I didn't want to deal with drunk people at a stadium.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just really trying to kind of block out as much negative stuff as possible as you can with him. And fans can be very ignorant at times.
Yeah.
But I'm a Giants fan, and the Giants were in town during the weekday, and I had him, and I was like, okay. I was like, we can go up for like half the game. Yeah. And that's what we did. And we went up, we had a great time, but Giants won the game. And at the end of the game, we went down to the Giants dugout, and one of the guys flipped us the ball. Yeah. And Kellen got the ball. He has no idea what's going on. He's 1 year old. You know what I mean? But it was pretty cool. And I found out we made, Baseball Tonight. That night we were on the clip.
Did you?
Yeah, I never saw it, but I was told by people. They're like, oh, yeah, we saw you guys. Like, they showed it. And I said, that's cool. And on the drive back, I started thinking, I was like, that'd be awesome if we could do like every stadium tour.
Yeah. And
we started doing it, and I started piecing it together on the drive home. And then next year we went to Cleveland. Then we went to Cincinnati. And then when we was 4, we flew down to Miami.
Okay.
And we went to the Marlins game when we got in town. And my aunt lives up in Tampa. And so we went to Tampa, went to there. And then we went to Disney that next day, or the day before the Tampa Bay game. She took us to Disney, which was pretty cool. And at that moment, I started realizing, I'm like, this isn't just about baseball. This is about spending quality time with family. Mm-hmm. And even if it's just my son and me, obviously he was but we would get to see that city for the day or 2 days. Mm-hmm. So we get to the next year
every time, not just one game.
Yeah, and we get to the next year, and I let him pick during Christmas, and he had picked one of 3 balls. It was supposed to be Kansas City, St. Louis. Then COVID hit.
Yeah.
So I took my sister down to Arkansas, down to she's on Army base. She's an Army girl, and I drove her down. I flew back, and on the flight back, I found out you could rent out Field of Dreams.
Oh, really?
And that's where I took him.
Nice.
So I rented out the whole field and the house.
That's awesome.
So we stayed at the house for the night and had breakfast in the morning. We had it from like 4 p.m. till like 10 a.m. the next morning. That's cool. That probably was the best moment of my life.
That's awesome.
It was that. And I got videos of him out there. Dad, is this heaven? And I'm like, no, son, it's Iowa. And like, just the documents I got from that, the video quality stuff I got from that, like that's number one to me. And then the year after that, we went to Washington and we went to Philadelphia.
Okay.
And then the year after that, we went to Detroit and Baltimore. And then last year we went to Milwaukee on Father's Day, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we went to Minnesota, and then we went to Chicago to see the White Sox because we were driving back. So we saw White Sox. And then this year we were down in Atlanta. So we've gone to 13 so far.
Dang, okay.
Yeah, so it's timed. He'll be done by the time he graduates.
That's awesome.
And then I allotted for 2 expansion teams. I really do think that I think Nashville gets a team at some point. And I think Salt Lake City's going to eventually have a team too.
Really?
Yeah, just because what seems like it's going on out there in that city, and they just got the hockey team now. So I think that is going to be one of the booming cities in the country here the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we have a time to. As soon as he graduates, we'll be done.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun, man. It's so cool, and he's at the fun age now. Like he knows what's going on, and like he looks forward to it. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome. That's a great adventure. What would have been your favorite? You think?
My favorite field that we've been to, I really like Detroit.
Detroit?
Yeah, I really like Detroit a lot. I would say Kellen's probably going to say Atlanta right now because we just went through it, you know. But yeah, Detroit, we had a really good time with that. We're starting to venture out west soon, which is going to be a lot of fun. And then he's like, I want to go to Hawaii at the end. And I'm like, well, they don't have a baseball team, bud. And he's like, graduation present. I'm glad your mindset's thinking that way already. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't think they'll get a baseball team, but sure, we'll head out to Hawaii. So
all right, man. I think we'll put a ribbon on this one.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me, man.
Covered everything. And
yeah, it's a good time.
Wheeling Wine Mixer. We got. You said Horton Jones, and what's the band coming in? Is
the
it
Bachelor Boys band?
Bachelor Boys band. Okay.
Yeah, they're a good group. If you ever get a chance to check out their website,
check them out.
It is the most professional website I've seen for a cover band.
Really, I'll check them out.
So good.
Because there's been it might be Tom Bachelor has been coming to the Waterfront Hall, and when you originally told me about it, I thought that was him.
That was him.
He said no, there's a band, the Bachelor Boys band.
Yeah,
coming in.
and they got a lot of people in that band. We could only afford to get 5 of them in. But still, you know what I mean? Like, it's 5 good ones, male singer and a female singer. So,
Eli's got a bunch of pieces in his bands too.
Eli does too. And I'm so intrigued to see how much more he ventures out with that.
Yeah.
Over the course of the next couple of years. And
right.
Eli's just, he's dominating right now.
I saw that he recently became a golf coach.
He did. Yeah. He did. We talked a little bit privately before the wedding we did on Saturday, but it will be. And I told him, I was like, hey man, congratulations, And Eli's one of those guys, like you never hear anybody say anything bad about him. Everybody gets along with him. He's just such a pure individual, kind of like Roger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the best way I can kind of compare that. But yeah, Roger, Horton Jones, obviously we got them. Jake Binniger, Jake.
Yeah.
Jake's
from
coming up.
Parkersburg area.
Marietta. Yeah. Jake's coming up, and Jake's starting to get a lot of traction now.
Yeah,
Jake's playing over at that.
Reaching up here, yeah.
Yeah. Jake's starting to get a little bit of traction now up here and stuff. So he does a great job. His voice is very, very clear, very soft, and he crushes it. He does a good job.
That'll be awesome. So Wheeling Wine Mixer. Sure, check that out. It's a little tongue twister.
It's time to start whining and head back downtown.
All right, buddy. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, man. Good to see you.